Welcome to Old Fashioned Finance, the podcast that mixes cocktails and high finance. I'm your host, Caleb Frankert, and I'm joined by my good friend and fellow money muddler, Jason Burnell.
Caleb, can a podcast about finance be entertaining?
Not without alcohol.
All right, let's mix it up.
Okay.
I finally have that memorized. It took 100 episodes, so
Yeah,
plus.
well.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I mean, that is a weakness of mine. Do you know that?
You've memorized that and an old-fashioned recipe. The podcast has been good for you.
I am a terrible memorizer. Really?
Yes.
It takes me a long time to memorize things. I don't know
Well,
what
I'm
it
not
is.
going to kick you while you're down.
It's a
I think
weakness.
you're doing a wonderful job.
It's a weakness.
Especially because, you're probably still on Pacific time.
I am.
Gosh. I just kept thinking, I'm going back to Cali. Sorry.
Yeah, so
If you
the mornings
remember
have
that.
been rough. I mean, we were in the Pacific time zone for a week and, at a conference, learned a ton.
Yeah.
And
Which
that's-
conference was it
It
for
was
our listening audience?
The NAPFA Conference, not like the North America.
NAPFA?
No. Not Napa Valley, not NAFTA. Now I can't even say
it wasn't
NAPFA.
an auto parts conference.
Yeah, no, National Association of Professional Financial Advisors Conference.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, they could have chosen a different name 40 years ago, but back then there was really no like dissemination other than the CFP marks,
Mhm.
which were at that point like 5 or 6 years old, like they were pretty young.
Yeah.
So, all good things were born in 1982.
And
so.
NAPFA's really going downhill because you are going to be on the board, right?
Thanks, man. Yeah, so I'm going to be on the Midwest region board for NAPFA. So
Cool.
it was kind of cool. I got to meet some people that I'm going to serve with, which
Uh-huh.
it sounds like a prison sentence now.
How long is your term?
2 years, I think.
2 years with
2 or 3.
with good behavior.
Yeah, but everyone's like 2 years, and then you're just going to get nominated for the national board. So,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
we'll see.
Well, that's
They don't know me yet.
obviously they don't know you.
Somehow I bamboozled them.
Well, okay, we are winding down, and so you kind of, when you came back, you were all excited and energetic about some of the topics that you heard, which is great because
In the
there are
afternoon, I was excited and energetic.
Yeah, well,
I was very tired in the morning.
Yeah. But I mean, it's good when you come back from a conference and you're rejuvenated and
Yeah.
excited about some of the topics because there are some duds out there for sure. But
Sure.
with us winding down the podcast, I think this was a really cool topic, like you said, to throw this in there towards the end because it really is. It's kind of what we do every day.
Yep, it is.
I mean, it's what we try to help our clients figure out every day. So
Mhm.
take it away, Jason. What are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about ways to squeeze all the juice out of retirement. And this is like the psychological side
Mm-hmm.
of the retirement plan. This is post-retirement, okay? Everyone talks about planning for retirement,
Yes.
and then they don't talk about what to do afterwards. And basically what we're finding is that people don't do particularly well
Yeah.
post-retirement.
And we
So
have
this is
talked
great.
about this
Mhm.
conceptually on
Yep.
the podcast before.
Yep.
And we've talked about making sure that you have purpose and all those kinds of things. But the speaker that you saw or heard,
Yep.
saw and heard, really got into the nuts and bolts of this, which is really cool. So before we do, Jason,
Yes.
this is a cocktails podcast
Yes.
after all.
It is.
We
We need
think
to
we've
drink.
said that one before. So today we've got a pretty drink in front of us, don't we?
Yes. Oh, I mean, this is going to be good.
I sure hope so. I
Simple.
like the ingredients.
Simple is good.
What we've got here is called a Jockey Club. Just a couple weeks late from the Kentucky Derby, I guess.
I was thinking of jockey in a different way.
Oh, like a drink jockey.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Is that what you think I am?
No, that's actually
You're a stock jockey.
I was
I'm
thinking,
a drink jockey.
yeah, like a DJ, like a music jockey,
Okay.
or
I don't know. Maybe
That's all
I'm
right.
just assuming because there's bourbon in this drink.
It's got to be
That
the
we're
horse
talking
jockey.
Kentucky horse jockey, whatever it is. I don't know. We didn't really dig into the history on this one. This was a liquor.com recipe. I've noticed they've thrown some new ones on there.
This is really simple, though. I think this is
It
going to be
is.
good.
So what we're drinking here, essentially, you can see if you're watching the podcast, out front we've got really 3 ingredients and a garnish. So we start with 1.5 ounces of bourbon.
Yes.
For this one, we used Blade and Bow,
Mostly
which
to
is
kill the
now
bottle.
gone. Yeah, because we needed to kill that bottle for a while. And an interesting story too. That's the whole Solara aging method, I think, where they they had some of the old Stitzel Weller distillate.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Pappy
Right.
from way back. So technically speaking, because they keep pouring stuff in and taking from the same,
Mm-hmm.
there's just a little bit of that old Pappy in there all the time, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of gimmicky.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, really cool bottle.
I don't think it cuts.
It's around here. It's about $60 a bottle. I think it's a cool bottle. It looks nice on the shelf. It's got that neat little key. They're kind of doing the Blanton's thing a little bit, where they have the little horsies on top. They've got different keys,
numbered
that you can
keys.
collect.
Yep.
If you have all of them, I don't know. Maybe they unlock something, but I don't know.
At $60 a bottle, probably your wallet.
It's a little overhyped. Now, I would say, without the hype, if I were to just drink this on its own, I'd say, hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
So, we're going to see what it looks like in a cocktail. So we used 1.5 ounces of bourbon. We have 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and we used our favorite Carpano Antica.
Of course.
And we got a little bit, a quarter of an ounce of this Luxardo Maraschino liqueur.
Which is pretty good. I mean, it's a good mixer.
Yeah. And again, this is not, it doesn't taste like a maraschino cherry. It's got some other stuff going on. It's one of those herbal liqueurs that's got all kinds of stuff thrown into it. But we did garnish that with a Luxardo Maraschino cherry, the proverbial cherry on top.
So this is a play on a Manhattan, basically.
It's very bourbon Manhattan-y.
Yes.
But throwing the Luxardo in there, and no bitters, by the way. There's no
right.
bitters in this one. So yeah, a little bit different take.
This is a big drink.
this is an easier drink to make than a Manhattan. It's less steps.
Yeah. Okay.
A lazy man's Manhattan, maybe. I don't know. Let's see how it tastes.
Cheers.
Smells good.
Wow, that's delicious. I really like that.
Ooh, yeah. No, that's good. So we have a higher mix
of
sweet vermouth in this than we would in a Manhattan.
But it pairs nice with it's
that's
sweeter.
Very nice.
It's good. Dang it.
I'm not sure. Okay, second taste, you usually get a little bit, you kind of taste some different things going on in the second drink. But I didn't get the maraschino liqueur the first time, did you?
I did. No. It's like the vermouth and the liqueur together. It's really, really kind of cool.
There it is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's very good. Don't throw that one away.
Don't throw that one away. That's a good one.
All right.
And
that's a winner.
I mean, most people have, you would just have to buy the Luxardo.
Yeah.
That's it. And again,
the other stuff is very easy to find.
A good mixer. This is everywhere, though. Oh, that's right. We did have kind of trouble finding this, didn't we?
I'm seeing it pop up a few more places in Ohio.
But you don't have to use Luxardo. You could
for the maraschino liqueur.
There's other maraschino liqueurs.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to.
I guess I haven't tried any others.
Tell us.
So there are maraschino cherry liqueurs, and that is going to be something different.
Yes, that's right.
That's going to be a different
and I think
flavor altogether.
I think that's probably what I'm thinking here. So
plus, you ought to buy this. It looks great on a shelf.
Yeah,
look at that. How cool!
It just looks like it's like straight out of Italy, right?
Look at the cool bottles we got here. If it didn't taste good, it's a cool looking drink whenever you make it. But it tastes good as well, so
cherry
bonus.
Liqueur. We don't want maraschino cherry liqueur.
Right.
We want maraschino liqueur. Got
it.
Man. No, this is it. Luxardo is really kind of
they're cornering the market.
Good job. Well,
good job, Luxardo.
There you go. Well, it says there's 7 of them, according to liquor.com. So there are others, mostly all made by Luxardo or Maraschino.
Interesting.
Well, I said Maraschino. What's the name? I don't know. Anyways, there are others, but not many. Bulls?
Well, I've never seen any of those.
Yeah, these are.
None of them come in this cool of a bottle.
No, that's right. That's right. So
I like
find
this
yourself
drink.
some of it. Yeah, there you go.
I like this drink. And that's the other thing. It is a little bit expensive for the bottle, but any cocktail that we've used, Luxardo.
This is a half an ounce or quarter ounce.
Quarter of an ounce. I mean, we've used it quite a bit. We have at least 3/4 of a bottle left.
Sure.
So
you're not just going to sit around
way.
and sip this.
No.
It's a mixer. Sweet.
All right, cool. Well, I like that drink. Keep that on the short list of things to make when we're trying to mix it up a little bit.
I took some big gulps of that already. Gosh, that's good.
All right, Jason. Why don't you kind of let us in on the seminar? What's the?
Yeah, I mean, it was a conference session. So crazy thing, this happens a lot. You sit down for breakfast. I'm an early riser, especially in Pacific time.
Mhm.
So like 7:00 for breakfast is no big deal. So, sit down. Jacob was with me, other advisor here at Blue Jay, and our intern, Evan. We're sitting at the table for breakfast, and in walks a very kind older gentleman. Told us his name is Riley. He's a Canadian from Toronto. Just very, very kind,
Mhm.
and asked a lot of inquisitive questions about us. And I do this every day, so I ask a lot of questions to him as well. And we had a great conversation. Then he told us he was presenting. And
What did he have for breakfast?
I do remember.
Do you?
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we kept commenting on
Canadian
how good.
bacon?
No.
Okay.
Kept commenting on how good the breakfast was for a conference. Yeah,
Nice.
so it was hard to forget.
Better
So,
than just the standard pastries.
yeah, it was like eggs and stuff. So we had a nice time, and so I was like, of course we're gonna go to his. He told us he was a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So now you have to go to his
well,
breakout, right?
and it wasn't he wasn't selling anything. So like those are two
Oh, yeah.
you're a speaker and you're not selling anything. I'm probably gonna come find out what you're about.
Yep.
And then he told us about the psychology of what he had been studying. And it was very, very fascinating. This is something that comes up a lot. So he has a book, The 4 Phases of Retirement.
Okay. What's his name?
And
In case you wanna pick that book
Dr.
up.
Riley Moynes.
Moynes.
Yep.
The 4 Phases of Retirement?
Yep. And
Okay.
we should maybe post it. I think it'd be good to show other folks. It wasn't like you could download it with an ebook.
Maybe we can. I see you've got a TED Talk pulled
Yep.
up. Maybe we can link the TED Talk in our show notes.
So his TED Talk is wildly popular. 38.2 million. I guess
that's almost
subscribers.
as many
Hold
hits
on.
as we have on this podcast.
Time out. I said that wrong. I think the TED Talk had 35,000 or so views.
Oh,
Okay. That's a lot.
that's almost as many.
As all of our downloads combined.
Hey.
So, but really what the crux of the whole thing was, what they're finding is, and he started off, he felt that after he retired, he wasn't doing anything particularly meaningful to society.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that success after, like, what retirement success looked like was real fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he started to discover, in a study he did, surveying hundreds and hundreds, thousands of retirees, that there are 4 phases in the retirement journey. Okay. And so let's just jump into them. Okay. Right away. And
So I guess before we do,
Mhm.
I'm just curious because now I'm thinking if I would have been there, I would have liked to have been there, but had too much going on back here at home. My thoughts would be, okay, is this because when you're working, when you're earning and burning, you've
Mhm.
got clearly defined goals, you've got measures of success right in front of
Mhm.
you. Then you retire.
Yep.
And now you're wondering, what's my objective?
Okay. So
You go from a career of checking off objectives, done, to now, am I retiring successfully? I'm surviving. That's one thing. But how do you gauge effectiveness?
Well, kind
in
of beginning
retirement?
with the end in mind here a little bit. He did say, like, at the end, essentially there should be, for all advisors, there should be some coaching done that, we help folks have the objective behaviors. We focus on how well they're doing with their behaviors. We check those boxes off and we get them there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, now what is objective success?
Mhm.
Okay. And it's not going to be financial. It's going to be psychological.
And to clarify, this was a conference for financial advisors, so
Yes.
it was the onus kind of as advisors, we need to keep our clients.
Well, I think it's like mentally healthy.
We have to keep them on top of. Hey,
Yes.
goals don't stop just when you get to retirement.
No.
We've still got other things that we need to keep them focused on, just
So-
like we do when we're preparing for retirement.
Absolutely.
It's not
And
over.
I think that we diminish the emotional impact of stopping work, okay? How much it is attached to who we are, our purpose, how we define ourselves, who we are. Like, you are a teacher or you are a machinist, you're a professional, like, and then you stop, okay? Even in retirement, you still are often referred to as what you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you were a financial advisor, but now you're retired and you do XYZ. Okay. It's really fascinating to me. And I think this whole idea, the concept, he discovered as a result of his retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how it went and how it was really negative for a period of time. And that is really his warning here.
Can I ask what did he do before retirement?
So he was a teacher.
What kind of teacher?
I don't remember.
Like high school teacher?
No, because
professor?
his name is Dr. Riley. So
No, I mean,
so he was, I think he might have been a college professor, but I don't know. Okay. Don't hold me to that. So he obviously had a skill for taking a complex subject, distilling it down, and presenting it in a way that is very useful.
Yeah.
Compelling story in 1 hour.
Cool.
Okay. I'm gonna get his book. I want to read it. I think it's gonna be really fascinating. So he broke it down into 4 phases. Okay, and this is when he's talking about squeezing the juice out of retirement. He's basically saying like there's still juice in there.
Mm-hmm.
If you squeeze a lime, we're a cocktail podcast. I love margaritas. It's amazing how much juice you can get out of a lime after you squeeze it with your hand and then put it in a squeezer.
Yeah. A citrus press?
Yeah, citrus press. Like there's a ton more in
Uh-huh.
there, right? And that's kind of his
thesis? Great.
There's a lot left in your life post-retirement, okay? So phase number one, it's the vacation phase,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I think we clearly understand what that is.
Yeah.
This is what every Fidelity, TD Ameritrade retirement commercial looks like. Walks on the beach,
Yeah.
camping in your new RV, traveling,
Golfing.
This is your bucket list, okay? Here's the shocker of this. It only lasts 1 to 2 years, okay?
Well, I can understand that because, neither of us are great at taking time off or enjoying.
I would
time
say we're
off,
bad, actually.
But don't you find after a couple, even if you like, I can't remember the last time I took 2 weeks off in a row.
I only did when I hiked with my boys, but that has a real significant purpose,
Yeah, but don't you after vacation in a lot of ways? Not every time, but you kind of start to go, all right, it's
That's
time
enough.
to get back at it.
That's how I felt after
now
the
what
conference.
are we doing?
Yeah. So 1 to 2 years. It's great until it isn't. That's exactly what a great quote.
I'm actually surprised that 1 to 2. That is a little longer than I would have imagined.
I was really surprised how short that was.
Okay.
Because again, that is the proverbial view of retirement.
Well, when we got in this business years ago, and we've talked about how people's views on retirement have changed.
Sure.
But I know when I got in, at least, and I would imagine it was the same for you a few years before, that I'm going to go golfing every day.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fishing every day.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, okay. How long?
How many days can you do that until you can't? And
My grandpa fished every day in retirement. He was a special case. Not many people that can just.
well, again, there might be something else connected with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this first phase is really about freedom. You're able to do whatever you want. And then you start getting bored. And then you miss your routine.
Mm-hmm.
And you believe that routine is kind of like what made you you. Okay. So you're starting to realize that this isn't all what it's cracked up to be. And he had a quote, and I thought it was profound. A plunge into the abyss of insignificance.
Yeah.
That is a punch in the gut. Okay. And I've seen this on the faces of some of my men clients specifically.
Yeah.
And then you go into phase number 2.
Well, while we're talking about phase number 1,
Mhm.
and I think I can sympathize, and everyone here, everyone that's worked with me or knows me, if I'm out of my routine, I'm all messed up. And quite honestly,
Like you have been lately?
Yeah. Really, and you've been there too, you're very routine driven.
Yeah.
When you're out of your routine, melancholy and depression are around the corner.
Absolutely. And that is exactly what phase 2 is. Okay. So phase 2 is feeling loss and feeling loss. Like just it keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A recent study done by, I don't know which university, but it might have been one of them that he's affiliated with. It's like Toronto or something.
Okay.
Says that retirement is one of the top 10 traumas of your life.
Wow.
Okay. This is really hitting on a lot of the things that I talk about. The reason I hate the word retirement. Okay. And so this is when it is like you have had unavoidable losses. You feel insignificant, depression, your structure's gone. You're in despair. You don't know who you are or what you stand for anymore.
Where you fit in.
That's right.
Right? Yeah.
You're just the guy. You're just a guy in the street. This is so sad to me. Okay. The sad part about this is most people don't get out of phase 2.
Wow.
Okay. He's, again, the stat's a little old, but he said somewhere in like the 60 to 65% of retirees live in that. Okay. So guys, if you're thinking about not calling your mom or dad or your grandma or grandpa who's retired, you should. Okay. Like they could be stuck in phase 2, which is where depression, there's a 40% chance that they will have clinically diagnosed like deep depression. Okay. 40% is a high number.
So yeah, this isn't this is more of a psychological episode, I guess. This is not a stats heavy or a technical heavy episode.
It isn't. Nope.
But as far as like stats and things like that go, I think I just heard somewhere that the age range, the highest likelihood of or the highest suicide rate comes in that 70 and above male.
It is the fastest growing segment of the population that is committing suicide.
Wow.
Is in that age 65 and above. Also, since 1990, divorce rate in 65-year-olds and higher, 3 times higher.
Wow.
Okay. So this is like real important to know. This is probably going to happen. I mean, on the high end, you might have 2 years in the vacation phase.
So this is interesting because it's helpful, like you said, after you get through the honeymoon phase and then you fall into this depression phase, like anything. And you and I have talked about, I guess this kind of stuff in general. Knowing what triggers you is very helpful.
Right.
So knowing that this is probably on the horizon, it would, if you knew that this stage was coming, that stage 2 is coming.
Right.
You can prepare for it a little bit better. You can probably work through it and cope a little bit more.
And of course, I'm like sitting back, like reflecting on this. Like when I get in that like little bit of despair, not a little bit. I've had despair. I've had depression. I've been there. What are the things that have pulled me out of it? Coming to work, having purpose.
It's
seeing
funny
my
because that's
family.
a lot of things for a lot of people that triggers the depression.
Right.
Is going to work.
And for me, it's not. It's
No.
the opposite. Like
Right.
I know I have value there.
Yeah.
People need me. And all that's gone in the retiree. So he literally he kept saying, "Buckle up."
Well, think about it. I'm thinking about it this way at that age range. Not only do people at work not rely on you anymore, you're out of the picture. But think about that stage in your life. Your kids are probably grown up.
Yep.
And they're self-sufficient.
Yep.
You probably go from everybody's depending on me. I know my routine. I know my marching orders. I know what my purpose is. And then you go from, and I think a lot of folks look at it this way: when I retire, I'm going to spend more time with my family. I'm going to help with this, that, and the other. But I think there's an element there too that you don't think about, that family, kids, and things like, they're not as dependent on you probably.
Yep.
And honestly, if your parents are retired, in a lot of cases you probably don't. Mom and dad are retired. They don't want to watch my kids, or they don't want to help out with this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
Maybe
but we even just forget though the application of wisdom. And I think that's unfortunately culturally screwed up in the United States specifically. It's rare that you would just like call your parents and be like, "Hey, I don't know what to do in this case." They've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's kind of what he's saying. Like, we need to know that we're still needed. And it may be the single event that causes them to head into phase 3.
Okay.
And
so phase 2 sounds pretty rough, Jason.
Phase 2 is rough.
Tell me phase 3 gets better.
Okay. If
you get there.
I think you will intentionally have to get there.
Okay.
Okay. I think, unfortunately, most of our retirees are living in phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And maybe for the rest of their lives, which is horrible. Okay. So you're looking for rehab, is what he said. And the rehab is phase 3 is trial and error. This is where you are literally trying to figure out where your place is. Okay. So how can I make my life meaningful again? How can I take my unique set of skills? Okay. I was a teacher. Well, teachers have a unique set of skills that other people don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be distilling that down into something where you put your skills together with a need in society.
Yeah, in your community,
in your community,
in your family, in your church.
And I'm thinking like teachers with like, okay, maybe it's like church is a good example.
Yeah.
I'm going to connect, teaching catechism to my unique set of skills, which was teaching, and I have a passion for it. Check. I'm going to lead the program. And I think we have a very false sense of retirement means you check out of society, and that is a huge, huge, huge mistake, okay? And he just kept saying that, and I get frustrated by this because, again, we diminish the wisdom that these 65-year-old plus folks have when in reality they have wisdom that it just goes on and on forever, and we're going to get kicked in the teeth if we don't ask.
Yeah.
So phase 3 could last a while. Okay. In his personal example, he said, I had to try everything.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a program for how to write a memoir. He's like, nobody wanted it. Okay. Then I did something else. And then I did something else. And then I figured out that I have a unique ability to communicate this message.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Obviously going to serve society that way. 2, he has a love for ministry around delivering fresh water in third world countries.
Okay.
So he has learned and how to build, facilitate, and find the equipment needed to get a well functioning in places that don't have it. Like it's crazy. It's really, truly kind of unusual, but he had to find it by exploring and trying and failing and doing something else, but not giving up. He gave an example that I thought was really interesting. It came in phase 4. Okay. So phase 4 is reinvent and rewire, which I love. Rewire. I was like fist pumping in the background.
We're like, I said it first.
I've used the word.
You listen to our podcast.
Yep, exactly. I said rewirement. So the example he gave was a former physician who developed a program for basically aligning people with a health need with a program that could serve them. Okay. Like that's crazy. Like you're diabetic, boom. You have cancer, you're struggling from loss, boom. And it was wildly successful. And smart guy, unique set of skills, used them to serve society, and now has a program that'll outlive him. It really will. And so basically almost no one stays in phase 1. That's kind of the moral, one of the moral.
Man, if you stay in phase 1,
almost everybody goes into phase 2
yeah,
and stays there. Some folks will get into phase 3, but many fall back into phase 2.
Yeah.
Okay. The folks that get to phase 4 now have happiness, fulfillment, success, and it really starts to redefine who they are in society.
And let's be honest, that's what they thought they were going to get out of phase 1. Probably,
that's right.
Because
Absolutely.
That's all that people are thinking about is phase 1, the honeymoon phase.
Right. And so what he's saying is you're searching for this breakthrough. And the breakthrough is, what's my mission and purpose? Okay. How can I squeeze the most out of my retirement, most juice out of my retirement? And at the end of the day,
best retirement margarita ever.
That's right. And at the end of the day, he said, and he's come to the conclusion that he believes the way to do that, if you want the secret sauce, is to serve others.
Yeah.
Phase 1, wildly selfish. Phase 2, wildly selfish. Phase 3, you're starting to figure it out. Phase 4, you realize that it isn't about me.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
I know. I am bald, so that helps. So I think
that's really intriguing, Jason.
It is very intriguing, and I think some of the tools that he has out there around like skill assessments, things like that you would do early in your career, and then you almost have to do it again.
Right.
I think is
the nice thing
really
is,
useful.
hopefully, if you've done what you're supposed to do, you can afford the trial and error phase.
That's right. That's right.
So, and I think that a lot of people, we have seen it done where you find way more fulfillment in retirement, make way more impact in retirement than you ever did as, whatever it was you identified as in your career.
Right. And
I haven't read the book, but I'm going to say I got to read it.
Yeah.
And I'm already thinking about giving this to people who are close.
Absolutely. And I that's exactly right. I think this is one of those times where you go to a conference and you say, I just need the one thing.
Yeah.
Just one.
Makes it worth it.
Okay. And it makes it worth it. Not only that, I think I probably have a friend in Canada now. He's a very nice guy.
Well,
and he did say one thing, and I want to make sure I finish on this because it's really important. He said, remember, you are not alone. Number one, people like us. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I will pick at this scab as much as you want to. Okay, because I want you to feel like you have a purpose. Number two, you have more options to consider. And then the last thing, you have huge opportunities. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So I thought it was awesome. Man, I'm sorry, I got on the feels on that one.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think I'm glad we got this one in. So
yes.
There you have it, folks. Well, thanks for having a drink with us this week. It is time to close out the tab. If you have a question or a topic you want addressed on the Old Fashioned Finance podcast, be sure to email us at podcast@bluejfg.com. And hurry, you're running out of time. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, we keep emailing us, sure. Don't forget to share the show with someone you love or just someone who needs a little money muddling themselves. You can stay up to date with the latest action by following us on Facebook. Old Fashioned Finance is brought to you by Blue Jay Financial Group. That's bluejfg.com and produced by Podastery Studios. We've been your hosts, Caleb and Jason. Cheers.
Yeah.
Blue Jay Financial Group, LLC. Blue Jay is a registered investment advisor registered with the state of Ohio. Registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The presence of this advertisement on this podcast shall not be directly or indirectly interpreted as a solicitation of investment advisory services to persons of another jurisdiction unless otherwise permitted by statute. Follow-up or individualized responses to a consumer in a particular state by Blue Jay and the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation shall not be made without first complying with jurisdiction requirements or pursuant an applicable state exemption. All verbal and written consent on this presentation is for information purposes only. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Blue Jay unless otherwise specifically cited. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by our firm as to other parties' informational accuracy or completeness. All information or ideas provided should be discussed in detail with an advisor, accountant, or legal counsel prior to implementation.